Alright folks, let's deep dive into the BZ-176 Premium Tier 8 Chinese heavy tank with the recently shown off jet booster rocket system. So it gets a speed boost for about 10 seconds, and for now there are limited number of charges, so technically you cannot abuse it, otherwise you just fly around all the time, and that's pretty broken. So yeah, obviously there are lots of utility for this thing. Getting into combat, getting out of combat, getting out of a ditch, or getting into a ditch. So pretty neat. I wonder if it works underwater. Like you can cross a riverbed and access maps or parts of the maps that are usually like locked off or inaccessible. Does it work underwater? Who the hell knows? But obviously this thing is a pure made up BS. It's not even a paper tank. It's sure, okay. It has a 160mm derp gun. It has double the tracks on both sides, and also from this historical reference, technically you can open up the top of the turret, giving it more gun depression for the derp gun. It says right there. What? Theoretically, due to high... oh no, that's not it. The design allowed the gun to depress through the turret top to reduce the overall vehicle's height. What? Okay, I guess, sure. I mean, that's a thing. So here is the tech tree, and we're likely going to see this vehicle for this year's holiday ops, maybe. And the whole tech line will likely follow right after January. So usually, like the Yo tanks last year, we have the M4 Yo for holiday ops, and the whole Yo tech line came out at the end of January. So this could also follow, but the tier 10 is the BZ-175, and here are two pictures featuring this vehicle at tier 10 with a rocket system as well. So going forwards and ramming people with it. So pretty effective idea, ramming a medium tank. Is that a CS 52 LIS? Kind of looks like it. You ran me a premium tier 8. That's kind of unfortunate. And here is the rocket boost. So you see the full charge of the rocket booster into used. Alright, I mean getting out of a ditch, getting into a ditch, all the good stuff. But let's take a look at the modules. So premium tank makes more XP, credits, and free XP, crew XP, yada yada. 160mm derp gun. Oh god. Technically, it's a little bit better than the Caliban in terms of accuracy and aim time, so we'll take a closer look. But crew of 4 fits all the Chinese heavy tanks, so that's nice. And let's see how good this derp gun is. So baseline penetration is pretty crap, 75. It's a high explosive shell, so deals a lot of alpha, but if you manage to pin, and that is a big if, especially after the high explosive nerf, which most people hate. I say most, some people like it. Freaking crazy people. It is a cyclic gun, so you can put a rammer on it. 24 seconds of reload for baseline is actually not half bad. I mean, you could get down to about 20-ish seconds of a reload, so decent. Turret traverse is actually fast for a heavy tank, about 30 degrees per second, 11 degrees of gun depression, 20 elevation. Accuracy is also not bad for a derp gun, 0.38, and 2.9 seconds of aim time. This looks like a 122 or 130 stats instead of a 160. DPM obviously is high for a derp gun, but yeah, if you manage to pin all the shells. So taking a look at the actual gun. So standard high explosive is 75, but gold shell high explosive is 225, which is a lot better, but alpha got cut by 300, so DPM also gets cut, but still 800 damage for every like 20 seconds is still devastating. It's like a ISU gun in a sense, but not as high of a pin. So shell velocity wise, oh god, 360 for standard high explosive. It's barely faster than the speed of sound, so it's like the Caliban, but you're not sniping with this gun. you're lobbing the shell. Now there is a plus about using this shell with such a slow shell velocity. Technically, you can aim over a ditch or a bunker and lob the shell across without getting the direct hit. So it's like artillery, but that rarely happens. So you're fighting close range with this shell, of course. And gold shell, gold high explosive has a little bit better shell velocity. Still below average, I guess, for something compared to a HESH or smaller caliber of a high explosive, but 760 is alright. I mean, it is faster than the standard high explosive on KV2s or the likes, but oof, this gun. Let's take a look at dispersion factors and other stuff. So actually not half bad for traverse dispersion for both the hull and the turret. So 0.2 is not the best, but it's a hell of a lot better than the Caliban. Accuracy, man, it's okay. Shell velocity is slow, carries only 30 rounds, so better make sure all of them hit, but it's still better. I think the Caliban carries only like 20 or something, but let's compare with the Caliban just for funs. 25 on the Caliban, but this thing has a lot better accuracy, a whole lot better accuracy, a whole lot better aim time, better dispersion, a whole lot better too, holy crap. And explosion radius, explosion is bigger, so that's nice. Costs less for the shell too, and deals more alpha. So everything is boosted other than the penetration, which is surprising. Now if you use the gold shell has about the same alpha, but better pen than the Caliban. And still better accuracy, obviously. Still better shell velocity. Ugh, shell velocity sucks. But the Caliban has a high explosive anti-tank round rather than a gold high explosive round. So debatable which one's better. But the Caliban has a high explosive. Oh no, it's actually AP. I thought it was high explosive anti-tank. Alright, I mean, this shell has a lot better pen, obviously. Go through mouses, but I mean, these two are all gold sinks, so prepare to spend a lot of money using this gun, unless you're using the baseline standard high explosive. But overall, I think this gun is still better than the Caliban against lower tiers. Alright, that's the caveat. Against tier 6s, yeah, it's devastating. You one-shot almost everything. Other than heavy tanks, like you one-shot heavy tanks at tier 6. A little bit struggle against tier 7 heavy tanks, but yeah, that's alright. I mean, Tiger ones have a lot of health, and the only heavy tank you cannot kill at tier 6 is likely the TOG. So pretty devastating gun against a low tier vehicle, but this thing is pretty crap against a mouse or I don't know, something of an E100 or Type 5. You'll struggle to pin. It's even with the gold high explosive round. So it's a bully practically at tier 8. Alright, moving on to the armor and survivability. 240 at the front is pretty good, but we already covered all the armor and aspects of it. So it's not always 240, but upper plate is about 100, slope upwards to about 230 millimeters effective, and couple that with the gun depression, yeah, pretty decent. Middle plate is the 240. That's where you ram stuff with. So with the jet booster, yeah, this is pretty thick. Lower plate 100, so shoot the lower plate. It's a lot more effective, but 11 degrees gun depression means you're not getting through the upper plate. You'll struggle with the middle of the plate. So it is a pretty thick boy. 250 for the turret front, angle backwards, so about 315 millimeters effective. Mantlet is about 310, don't even think about it. You do have a commander cupola and loader cupola, but still smaller than the WZ-111s, right? So there are weak spots, but with 30 degrees of turret traverse, you can wiggle this turret around and throw off the shots, so pretty nasty. Also, what is funny is it is 41 for the turret roof. that basically bypass 122mm for the 3 caliber rule. It's not 40mm where it is susceptible to 122mm. The convenient 1 more millimeter basically negates all 122mm guns, which is funny. So, Chinese bias, quote unquote. Side of the hull is 152. Same goes with the turret, so pretty thick. Side scraping, that's only for above the tracks, so if they hit somewhere over here, yeah, it's like a KV4. That's pretty nasty also. But underneath, for behind the tracks, it's only 100. There's a weird rectangular shape support behind this part. What the hell? It's still 100mm, but I don't know, why is it red? For some reason. Okay. Random artifact, I guess. So shoot the drive wheel, obviously. Drive wheel is only about 170. And this little triangle, 150. So you could angle, and this will throw off the shots. People will see, ooh, side scraping, nice. And then it's like a IS-4 or KV-4 with the armor. So armor is still pretty goddamn strong. And you have the jet rockets to help you propel yourself into situations. So it's not slow, technically, but baseline horsepower per ton ratio is 10 or so, 10.5. So not the greatest, but I mean, obviously that comes from a Tiger 2 player. So it's still not half bad compared to a Tiger 2. Or VK101Ps or something like that, so it's not the slowest. And the armor does hold up with the German heavy tanks compared to the Germans, but this thing weighs about 57 tons, so not that, you know, featherweight. And boost up to 21 horsepower per ton ratio with a top speed of 39. Baseline top speed is 30, reverse of 15. You cannot go backwards when you're boosting, obviously. There are 4 booster, so you can only use it 4 times, and takes 10 seconds to use all of it, so last 10 seconds. But hull traverse is not half bad for a heavy tank with such decent armor. So it's not slow, and it can ram a few stuff like medium tanks or tank destroyers. Pretty devastating with 240 at the front for ramming. Now camo is also heavy tank, but not super heavy tank like the Germans, so technically alright, above average for heavy, but that's not saying much. And spotting is 380, so like all Chinese heavy tanks at tier 8. But let's take a closer look at the actual soft stats. So this thing has alright terrain resistance. It's not as good as the Caliban, but it's close, pretty close. Caliban has better horsepower per ton ratio, but this thing has a lot better armor, so that's the trade-off. This thing has more health at the cost of module health, so be warned about your engine as well as ammo rack. So have the repair kit on handby or standby on handy standby, sure. So max load is 60 tons, has better view range than the Caliban, about the same camo, more or less. Less chance of fire, but debatable. So overall, the soft stats on this vehicle is actually not half bad, especially with the gun, especially for a derp gun as well. Gun depression is kind of weird because the tracks will block the gun depression of 11 degrees to about 7, so be warned of that. And there are no gun depression at the back, only about 3, so that's because of the engine deck, so just be careful. The commander is also the radio operator, so that goes for all Chinese heavy tanks. Unfortunate, I guess. No situational awareness, unless you already have it on the commander. But it's a meme. It's already a meme, and it's more rectangular or squarelier than the rectangular shape Chinese heavy tanks, right? So it is more square, so it's more hip, I guess. About the same health across the board. Yep, about the same health. Best gun depression out of all of them. Average gun elevation, but that's alright. The fastest traverse for the turret is actually the Object 140's turret on the 113. Alright, I mean, the highest alpha, the lowest penetration. technically the highest DPM, but that's debatable, obviously. And the thickest hull front, I think, for all Chinese premium at tier 8. This thing has 300? Oh yeah, it's the BZ-51's turret, so not the strongest turret front, but still pretty goddamn thick. Well, yeah, this thing has a smaller cupola, so the BZ-51's turret is the best, but the slowest in terms of horsepower per turn ratio, and the slowest in terms of top speed, but that's mitigated by the booster, so and actually the fastest traverse for the hull, other than the light tank-ish of a 113 with the Object 140's turret. Camo, average across the board. 380 meters of view range, the same across the board. So, I mean, from an initial viewpoint, it's already better than the Caliban. So I would probably put vents to help out with everything, even though it's already pretty decent enough. So vents will help out the accuracy, aim time, all the good stuff. It's already pretty decent in terms of the accuracy baseline. So I think vertical stabilizer will help when you're moving the gun about with the dispersion. 0.2 is alright, but yeah, better traversing dispersion is always good. So yeah, vertical stabilizer and obviously the rammer. Duh. So with the rammer, about 21 seconds of reload. With Brothers in Arms, I mean, can we shave that down to 20? Maybe with field modification. So good segue into field mods. So this one is better terrain resistance at the cost of suspension durability and hull traverse, but technically with better terrain resistance you get better effective traverse for the hull, so I'll pick this one for now. Accuracy or aim time? Ooh, this is aim time or accuracy? Well, if you're in close range fighting with garbage shell velocity, then obviously we don't care about aim time. If you're just hitting center mass, then you don't need to aim, right? But then again, if you're aiming for weak spots because of the penetration, then having better aim time is also good. 0.26 or 2.6 or 2.9. So 0.2-ish of a change. 0.15 seconds of a change compared to 0.35 or 0.38 accuracy. 0.35 accuracy is very tempting for a derp gun, but that is situational, so it works both ways. If you're close range fighting, you don't need accuracy, so I think better aim time may be better. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, I'm talking myself in and out of stuff, so it's your preference, but both are good, so that's good. This one is pure crap. Stun duration or better view range. Always better view range. Just hide behind rocks. You don't need the stun duration. And plus, if the enemy artillery stuns you for 10 seconds, the stun duration only cuts down 1 more second. So that's not much, right? That's not. I mean, unless you get pinned by high explosive artillery shell and get the max stun of like 30 seconds, then sure. But when that happens, you're practically close to being dead at that point, right? So yeah, better view range. Boost that up to about 410 with a good crew. So yeah, go with this, apply. And for the second slot, obviously go with firepower to help out with the accuracy. You can also put the rammer here. That would be also pretty good. So baseline stats are pretty decent. The only downside for this vehicle is it's a bully tank. It is practically useless unless you're rocket launchering and boosting behind a mouse to shoot the gold high explosive shell. And even then, it will struggle to pin sometimes. So it's a bully at top tier. It's a piece of crap at bottom tier. I mean, it has the armor too, so it's... I mean, is it like a bait of a heavy tank to draw in fire, whereas your like AMX 50Bs could run around and help you out? So is it like a punching bag if it's bottom tier? But yeah, I mean, there's lots of utility for the rocket boosters. Like I said, getting into ditch, getting out of a ditch, getting into battlefield or out of the battlefield, ramming somebody with it, ramming your teammates with it, and push them into the river. I wonder if it works in the river. So could it be that toxic? It shouldn't, obviously. You can also jump the bridge on Westfield. So technically the broken bridge, you can jump it. Yeah, Dukes of Hazzard style with the rocket boosters. But there you go, folks. Since this vehicle was just released, I mean just showcased on the super test and immediately put into the common test, there's no actual what the shit video on the super test for this vehicle. So there's no initial impression. So this is actually my final impression of the current stats, and I will say, ooh, how the hell would I rate this thing? Armor is great if it's top tier. Armor is decent if it's bottom tier. It's somewhat slow, but it has the jet booster thing. If this thing has unlimited charges of the booster where you reload after the 4 charges, then it's like a 7.5 out of 10. But you cannot use the booster all the time. There's only 4 charges. So I would say like a 6.75. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than the Caliban. A lot more workable of a gun. A lot more accurate. A lot faster aim time. A lot better dispersion. It's a hell of a lot better gun. Other than the penetration. That's the only downside. But you'll manage to hit stuff. Whereas the Caliban doesn't hit stuff. I hate that piece of crap. I hate the Caliban. It's a piece of turd. It's like a 3 out of 10 because I hate the gun. And that's the only thing good about it. Where's that piece of crap? I hate... God, you curse me. Wargaming, you curse me with this vehicle when I don't want it from freaking Holiday Ops. Oh, God. Curse me with the garbage gun. It does carry 2 shell in terms of auto reloader, but yeah, gross. I hate this gun. It's so useless. Well, there you go, folks. About 6.75 because it's pretty bad bottom tier, but still, if it's top tier, then holy crap, this thing is it's a meme. It's a pretty goddamn good of a meme, and it's square, so it's hip. So there you go, folks. A deep dive into the BZ-176. So leave your comments below how you feel about this thing. But I mean, nowadays all the premium tier 8s are usually bullies and pretty crap against top tiers or like tier 10s. So we'll see what happens. But sorry if you play tier 6 or tier 7s, you'll get one-shotted with better accuracy now too. Well, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.